The farmer felt the sound before he heard it, a hum so deep it was barely there, but the sound caused a wave of sickness to wash over him. He dropped to his knees to vomit when the world started tearing itself apart. He had experienced earthquakes before, some very powerful and frightening. Nothing compared to this. The ground shook and rolled like a boat at sea. Over his shoulder, he saw the barn crumble. He wondered how many of his horses were killed. He hoped his favorite horse survived. He wanted to run over and save what animals he could, but the tremor would not allow him to stand. Then his house collapsed. The farmer vomited again, knowing his wife and 3 children were still sleeping there. He hoped they slept through their death. They didn't. He heard his wife screaming from the rubble. He heard the wail of an infant. Then he heard himself screaming. But those sounds were suddenly overwhelmed by a great rumble as the ground lurched forward. The stone corral tumbled. Animals were knocked off their feet. Deafening thunder came next, but louder than any thunder he'd ever heard. The farmer covered his ears, but it was no help. What he couldn't hear, he could feel. He looked to the west. There was the grassy hill with the large olive tree. As far as he knew, the tree had been there forever. The graves of his parents and their parents were in the shade of that tree. He thought his grave might be there soon. Then from over that ridge, he saw what seemed to be mountains of fire. Flaming stones as big as houses were launched into the sky, through the clouds, and into the heavens. Hundreds of them, thousands maybe. Dark smoke billowed from something in that direction, and before he knew it, the blue sky had turned black. The morning sun had disappeared. But at least he didn't have to look at the great disk anymore. He finally got to his feet and staggered toward his house. All he could hear was the growl of the earth, but he knew his wife was still alive. If he could just get to her, maybe he could... Then, a hot coal landed beside him, the kind he'd seen in ovens at the market. It was bright red and aflame. Then another coal landed nearby, this one a bit larger. They hissed as they burned in the tall grass. He then realized the rocks of fire that were launched into the heavens were coming home. Soon stones made of fire were crashing all around him, and they were getting bigger. The barn disappeared in a hail of fire. On the ground, he saw the shadows. The stones were definitely getting larger, and they were bigger than houses, much bigger. The farmer stopped when one of the large shadows found him.